the era of the grad role is dying. What used to be a safe, well-paid, well-defined path is now a relic of the past. Not only are these roles becoming increasingly hard to land, they're becoming more unpredictable in the long term, with AI and firms gutting their training budget for juniors. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but for the right person, i.e. you, here watching this video, it presents a golden opportunity. A backdoor to wealth, to impact, to ownership, and with a good salary too. These roles are the fastest way to build wealth if you weren't born rich. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to land one in less than 7 days. Okay, so for decades, the middle class has relied on a well-trodden, safe path, which is you study hard, you get into a good college or uni, you graduate, and before you graduate, you've locked in a nice graduate job at a big corporate. From there, in 2 years, you're an associate, 3 more years, you're a director level. End of the decade, you're at a middle management level, and if you're really demented, you might go for partner or C-suite after that. This was the beautiful dream of predictable upward social mobility. Hell, I fell for it in 2008 when I worked at Macquarie Bank for 9 months, which was during the GFC and turned out to be a bloodbath. You see, you might have heard from your friends or your parents, even today, that a job at a Big Four accounting firm or a big bank, a grad role is the safest path. Well, let me tell you that is absolute boomer wisdom. It's the belief that things possibly couldn't go backwards. And well, something has changed quite dramatically because grad roles are down 33% in the UK last year, 24% in Australia in the same period. And so our playbook, that reliable playbook, doesn't work anymore. And so we need something new. By the way, I cover lots of this stuff in my newsletter. Check it out, it's in the description. There's free tools and frameworks, and I'm not pushing any kind of course. You'll like it. All right, this is getting pretty doomer, and you're probably wanting me to cut to the chase and get some hope back. It's coming. To truly tackle this problem, we need to understand what's happening first so we can reverse engineer a solution that gets to the root of the issue. And this issue is caused by 2 big macro factors. The first being that Western economies, outside the USA, have a big problem. They are service economies that don't actually build anything. Take Australia, for example. In the last 30 years, we've created conditions for one of the world's most unsophisticated economies, ranking lower than even Uganda, Panama, even Kazakhstan. Look, Aussies are an unsophisticated bunch, but this is bad. We have no manufacturing industry, and apart from a burgeoning startup scene in Sydney, most people work in jobs that do not create tools or technology that moves the world forward. Instead, most people work at big companies that exist to service other companies. Think lawyers, accountants, bankers, advertising, sales. These used to be big, reliable businesses, and it's no surprise this is where the grad roles used to be. And this is where the perfect storm comes in. That's all compounded by the second factor, which is this concentration of corporate labor in service jobs has made these economies easy pickings for AI. Because senior people used to rely on juniors for a bunch of tasks, including reviewing contracts and sending outreach and writing copy. And these are a piece of cake for LLMs. Paper shuffling is what they do best. Now, beyond that fact, there's no doubt that these companies have used AI as an excuse to get more conservative, to rein in spending, to improve profit margins. That's just how big companies work. The old dream is not working anymore, and the scary part is that no one's told young people this. Now, I spoke to a few grads in the making of this video, and one story stood out. A grad told me he applied for a role with 4,800 applicants, and at the bottom of that funnel, only 21 got in. That's a lower acceptance rate than Harvard to be a category manager in a big supermarket in the northwest suburbs of Sydney. The first rung of the ladder is disappearing, and the diamond-shaped org chart is becoming a thing. So what do you do when this safe path becomes the risky one? Well, you take a different path, one that still has a good salary, but gives you something new, something more modern, and that is ownership in the company, equity in the company, a chance to share in the upside. And this is what the smartest 22-year-olds I know are doing now. In the words of Paul Graham, startups are simply small companies designed to grow fast. They offer something new to the market And the best ones offer something that's 10x better than the market. Now, a lot of startups are internet companies because they're based on that new technology, which allowed them to offer something better, but that's not always the case. Startups exist in many different sectors around the world. And the good news is that there's probably a startup for you, for your personality, your skill set, and for the impact you want to make in the world. Now, the best thing about small companies, if you've never worked at one, is, and why they're way better than big companies, I've worked at both, is the chance to upskill. You basically get chucked into the deep end and you learn a broader range of skills, so you can try, see what you like. You can be a generalist or you can specialize. It's really up to you. But these are chances you would not get in a corporate. And as I said before, this is the fastest way to build wealth if you weren't born rich. How do I know this? Well, I know a guy, and that guy was me, 24-year-old me, working in advertising, optimizing banner ads. Look, I knew that in the back of my mind that wasn't going to make me rich, but it was only when I quit out of frustration, took a job at a startup and got a piece of equity at Koala, that my eyes were open to the world. Yeah, and here's my share certificate. It's worth roughly $400,000 if you're judging by what the private markets are saying about Koala. Now look, this isn't just my story, it is a repeatable playbook. I've seen it work. People at Canva, at Koala, at my company, Eucalyptus. And it's out there for you if you know where to look. Now, in my previous videos on sweat equity, most of the angry comments had been about, hey, this is super risky. Hey, like, most of this equity is going to end up worth nothing. And that's true. Not every company can be a Koala or a Canva. And not everyone can work at Canva, Eucalyptus, and Koala like my two friends, Alexi Mitko and Matt Rossi. Oh, and there's always a comment about, oh, this is survivorship bias. And the guy showing the classic meme pic of the bullet holes in the World War II plane. Great. And yes, there are risks to all good parts of life. But the thing is, you can layer these equity ownerships like a portfolio. You can build a stack of equity bets by working at different startups for 2-year periods and move on. So over a 10-year period, you might have collected 5 tranches of equity. And so after 10 years, you have this nest egg sitting there that could be worth a lot. Just ask anyone that worked at Canva. And in my eyes, that beats working for 10 years at CommBank, slogging in the mortgage salt mines any day of the week. You see, grad jobs pay you to follow, but startup jobs pay you to build. Okay, let's look at how to get these roles, because they're not on Indeed or Monster or Seek. Fuck no. They are harder to find. So 1, how to get them, and then 2, how to position yourself best to get them. Now, it might seem like there's fewer of these roles because they're harder to find. They're not on some university portal or on Seek. No, well, the thing is, they're out there. They're just spread out and around. There are hundreds of startups in Australia alone hiring right now, and junior roles. And so what you can do is go to aggregators. Anthony and David made a website, equityjobs.com.au, after my first equity video. It's an awesome resource for companies that are hiring, startups that are hiring in Australia right now. But still, my favorite way and the foolproof way to find these jobs is to go to venture capital firms' websites. And you can do this in any country of the world, as long as you know what the local VC firms are. And so in this example in Australia, this is Blackbird. You click on the portfolio and you can see here a list of all the companies that they've invested in. And you can even read about why they invested in some of these companies, like this example here for Alloy. And then from there, I can go to their website and I can see their career listings. So VC firms like to invest in good companies, and so they do a whole bunch of due diligence on these companies, making sure that they're good, they're high quality. And so you can use this as a proxy to work out which companies are good starting points. Now, it's not foolproof. There will still be many failures and many shit companies on these lists, but hey, you can get going. And so you want to find a company that is the sweet spot for your risk appetite. So the earlier you join, the more chaotic it will be, but the more ownership in the company you will get. And the later you join, the more stable it will be, but the less ownership as a percentage of the company you will get in your shares or your options. And the good news here is that you start to specialize a little bit more. So if you don't want to be a generalist, the sort of 20 to 30 people mark is where things get a little bit better. And then at the 400 person mark, as startups get bigger and bigger, they tend to get a little bit more corporate. They tend to attract people that are a little bit more risk averse, a little bit more reliable. And so, not saying that's a good or a bad thing. If you were looking at grad roles, you might be that way inclined anyway. But yeah, just a heads up, that's what it's like, worth keeping in mind. So, what kind of roles? Is this just for product managers and programmers? No, it's not actually. It's for a whole bunch of roles, because as startups get bigger, as I was saying before, they start to specialize. They need office managers, they need customer support. Hell, I found a job for a janitor, a cleaner at Gilmore Space in Australia. Amazing, and it comes with equity. So you start in these roles, like this one at Instant for a customer support, that do not require experience. You get your foot in your door, just like a grad role, and you go from there. And you'll also see that many of the newest, hottest companies don't even have a careers section because they're so small, or they'll do something like this, which is Lorikeet in Sydney, which has posted a job ad for Pitch Us a Job, which is basically a filtering mechanism for really, really good people. So if you're willing to do the extra effort and put together an awesome pitch of yourself, of a potential business idea, you might get a look at jobs that literally no one else can. You see, the challenge with startup roles is that the hiring process is not clean, and positioning yourself for the role is critical, because quite often you have to get the founder's attention, get the hiring manager's attention. This is not a, well orchestrated, perfect funnel on the website of a bank that tells you exactly when job ads are being processed. No, this is a bit of a free-for-all. But this is a feature of this because it's attracting people that have the go-get to go out and take these jobs, people like you. And so the trick is to spend 80% of your time on your cover letter, on your outreach approach, so your LinkedIn direct message, on your email, to be yourself, be casual, add some value, give them an idea. That's where you spend your time, because ultimately, and take it from me, as someone who has looked at thousands of resumes, no one is reading your docx times New Roman CV or resume. Focus on the first thing that people actually read, because that sets you apart. So yeah, the most important thing is to shoot your shot, to be yourself, be direct, be clever, stand out, don't be corporate. People that work at startups are incentivized through equity to hire great people, who in turn help them by growing the enterprise value of the business. Whereas in grad roles at corporates, you're actually being hired by people, it's a lot more zero-sum. You're being hired by people that might in the short future be in direct competition with you for roles. Yes, this is a lot more chaotic than the perfectly managed hiring funnel of a grad role, but it's going to be a lot more future-proofed. And this hurdle is what makes these jobs so satisfying. So in a week, you could go from spraying and praying graduate job applications to landing ownership at a company. Pretty cool. Don't play a broken game, play a better one. Love yous all. Yibbity yibba.